I'm very excited to be here today with a longtime colleague, partner, and close friend, Ramona Nee. Ramona has recently been named Executive Partner of Weil to succeed me as head of the firm, effective the beginning of next year. I couldn't be happier. She is also a longstanding member of the management committee and has been co-managing partner of our Boston office for many years, as well as co-head of our U.S. private equity group. Ramona, thank you so much for joining me today.
It's great to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
My pleasure. Like me, you've really grown up at the firm. You came over as part of a team opening our Boston office over 20 years ago. In a few minutes, we'll get to talking about what's kept you here. But first, I'd like you to go back a little bit further in time. Can you tell me a little bit about the beginning of your journey and how you chose law, and ultimately how you came to focus on private equity?
Sure. So for me, how I chose law was probably a little bit of a process of elimination in that I knew I didn't want to go to med school.
Join the club.
I knew that I didn't want to go to business school. I knew that my undergrad degrees of poli-sci, philosophy, and piano were not really going to lead to a natural career path. So I knew I had to go to some sort of grad school, and law school was what won out at the end. So that's how I decided to go to law school. And as for private equity, you're going to see a little bit of a trend here. Also, process of elimination in that I thought I didn't want to be a litigator. Not sure that I knew back in law school or in college what a bankruptcy lawyer did or was. And so I thought I was probably going to be pretty well suited to corporate law. And when I interviewed way back in 2001, I got a job as a corporate associate, and
the rest is history.
And the rest is history, as they
well,
say.
I remember so well when Jim and Charles came over to start the Boston office. You were spotted very early on as a rising talent, and it's been incredibly rewarding to watch you grow as a partner and a leader. Tell me a little bit about your personal approach to mentorship now that you yourself are a senior leader, and how you are cultivating the next generation of talent.
Yeah, so I think, mentorship, you really need to have the right fit, right? You have to find, and it's a two-way street. You have to find the people that you connect with and that connect with you. And then it has to be a really active process. You have to go all in. And I think, part of what I've tried to do, and I've learned from my own mentors, including you, by the way, is to really just embrace that person and don't assume that they know anything, really. And, part of practicing law is it's not as instinctive, or at least being a deal lawyer, I have found, as it feels like maybe it should be, right? So some of the things that seem like this is the obvious path are not necessarily the obvious path. And so taking the time with someone, really investing in them to explain things, right? To be available to answer questions, to sort of break down the barriers so that they can ask what feel like the dumb questions. And so to be open from a mentoring perspective, but then I think on the flip side also to just tell them everything. I remember having conversations with one of my mentees, who is now a fantastic partner at the firm, and just talking to her about, here's the time of the day that I send certain emails, and here's the time of the day that I don't send certain emails, and here is how I agonize over, probably too much, but over every word of every email, and here's why it can matter, because sometimes it's just not obvious. So it's a real hands-on approach.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I've had the good fortune of having mentors throughout my career. And I think the role also is the mentee has to be active in the relationship
100%.
As well, and create the atmosphere that the mentor wants to take an active role in that person's development. Those are all principles that I've followed myself. Now, your commitment to the firm and others clearly underpin the great decision by the firm to elevate you to the executive partner role, which will go into effect, as we said, on next January. Can you tell me a little bit about your vision for the firm? And I realize that's a big question,
yes,
and I know people have asked me that question. So feel free to answer on any aspect of it you like. Otherwise you could probably spend the next 2 hours answering that question.
Yeah. So I think, and really just following in many respects in your footsteps in the path that you have forged for this firm and the foundation that you have laid. I think what excites me most and is a big part of the vision of the firm is just highlighting our people. I mean, it sounds a little bit basic in a way, but our people are our assets, right? And we have just the most outstanding group of lawyers you can imagine, the most outstanding group of staff that you can imagine. And so finding a way to continue to cultivate a really high standard of excellence and of collaboration, I think is really what I see that will carry us through no doubt some ups and downs, right? The world is sort of a crazy place and we have to be nimble and we have to adjust. But the one thing I think is consistent is our ability to just provide excellent service and to do it together. And that's something that I want to really focus on
Yes,
going
and
forward.
I do love your expression, excellence together. I really think that captures Weil Gotshal in 2 words, so I really, really like that catch.
Thank you.
As you know from our discussions on these topics, I could not agree with you more. As you look to the future and into keeping the vision you have for the firm strong, what do you see as potential challenges from a competitive market perspective?
Yeah, so a couple things. One, the competitive landscape over the last few years, it feels like every year gets more and more competitive from people perspective. Our peer firms there's a lot of competition out there, and we need to find a way to attract the best people, to retain the best people, and to do it within a landscape that's constantly shifting. I'm sure we'll talk about AI and some of these other challenges coming down the road, but the landscape, the legal landscape these days is dramatically different than it was, I think, when you started.
Absolutely. The idea of how much time is spent attracting new talent and making sure you keep your talent really at the partner level was something that 15 or 16 years ago when I started really didn't exist.
Yeah, and it's not a static process, right? It's active, and we have to be adaptable. I think we have the right people to do that, but we have to constantly be vigilant and constantly be looking around corners and constantly making sure that we're taking care of our people in a way that makes them want to stay.
Right, and making sure that we keep that excellence together.
100%.
That together part is very important. Well, the market is definitely moving quickly, and we have no choice but to respond faster and better to stay ahead of the competition. And I have no doubt whatsoever that the firm will continue to be a market mover and leader under your stewardship. Now, you're at such a terrific professional point where you both have a lot of experience as a leader and a long runway ahead. So what excites you the most as you look ahead?
I think, having spent my entire career at this firm, it's continuing to work with the outstanding people that we have. I think that Weil Gotshal has all of the tools, and by tools I mean people, to carry ourselves into this next generation of practicing law, to be adaptable, to respond to macro factors and micro factors, and to do what our clients expect, I think, which is really be at the cutting edge of the legal profession, looking around corners, helping them anticipate what their next issue is going to be, not just to be responsive to it, but to be really proactive. And to do that with the next generation of leaders at Weil Gotshal, all together, the various offices, the various practice groups, it's tremendously exciting.
And it's important that you put that we are in a professional services business, and we are here to service our clients and to give them the best quality and the best service that we can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you've put that incredibly well, and not at all surprising to me, but fantastic to hear in any event. And as I like to say, our best days are yet to come. And under your leadership, that is 100% the case. I'd like to round out the conversation by asking you something just a little bit more open-ended,
Oh boy.
which is, who is a leader outside of the legal industry that you admire and why?
So I'm going to say Yo-Yo Ma, who is a world-renowned cellist. And you might not think of him as a traditional leader, right? He doesn't have a title, executive partner, president, any CEO, anything like that. But he is at the forefront of his industry, and certainly leading in that he's maybe one of the most outstanding musicians alive. But what I think is really compelling and about Yo-Yo Ma is he has taken this platform, and he could take it really in any direction he wanted. He could have just been the best cello player probably to ever walk this earth. But he has instead taken his platform and used it as a way. He's really become a humanist, and he has been able to use his platform to connect with all sorts of different people, not necessarily just people who you would think fit into the square box of, like classical music. He's brought an awareness of different types, different cultures, different types of people, different attitudes, different philosophies to his platform, which is global. And I think he understands the responsibility that he has in his position, and has used it in a way that I find just absolutely fascinating and inspiring.
You said something really important, which is you don't need to have a title to be a leader.
100%.
That you don't. Leadership comes from the attributes of the person, not from the title. So now we're going to have a little bit of fun.
I'm ready.
I'm going to ask you a series of sort of lightning round type questions, and just whatever comes to your mind, let it go. Okay. What's your go-to cuisine for a takeout dinner?
If I'm being healthy, it's sushi, and if I'm being decadent, it's pepperoni pizza.
I like the decadent. I mean, I like sushi also, but I like the decadent. If you had not chosen law, what would you be doing now?
Well, to go back to the Yo-Yo Ma question, I'd be hopefully the executive director of a major symphony.
What's your favorite vacation spot, the so-called happy place?
Nantucket.
What's a personal or professional pet peeve?
People who are self-absorbed and make it all about themselves.
What celebrity would play you in your biopic?
My husband would say Jessica Alba, and I would hope that's the case, so I'm going to go with that.
Okay. Well, good answer by your husband.
Yeah.
What's the best advice you've ever received from a mentor?
Be curious and listen.
What was your favorite high school extracurricular activity?
Playing an orchestra.
What was your favorite TV show as a teenager?
Lost? I don't know if I was a teenager or early 20s, but
That's
I'm going to go with
okay.
Lost.
What is a bucket list item that you've yet to accomplish?
It's a tie, both travel. One is the Skeleton Coast in Namibia, and one is hiking in Patagonia.
Give me one song from your Desert Island playlist.
There are so many, but I'm going to go with Mumford & Sons, Below My Feet.
Wow. Well, this has been a lot of fun, which I always expected it to be. So thank you for coming down and doing this.
Thank you, Barry.